Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there in person, but I'm equally happy to be sharing some of our research of our online trauma-informed meditation group. This research project was done in collaboration with Trauma Practice for a Healthy Community, as well as the Trauma and Attachment Lab at York University. I'm Cassandra, one of the PhD students at York and the lead student on this research project. We started running these groups back in May of 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we hope to continue to be able to provide these services for people in our community and beyond. One of the greatest things about virtual groups is the reach that it offers. People are no longer constrained by the time it takes for them to commute, and they can participate in the comfort of their own home. And I think you'll see that they're equally as effective as in-person groups. So let's jump into some of the research. Our research really had two goals. One was to understand how effective these groups can be in terms of symptom reduction. And the second was to understand how people feel as part of these groups. More specifically, we wanted to know how engaged people felt and whether the group itself was a safe space. Since 2020, we have collected data on about 7 different meditation groups. And while I don't have analyses for every single group, what I can do is speak to some of the trajectories and some of the changes that we've seen across all of the groups. So the first thing that we really notice with the meditation group is the high levels of engagement and low levels of conflict reported in these groups. So over here we have conflict, and over here we have engagement. What this tells us is that our participants are engaged with the material and that they find the group safe, the group space itself safe and respectful. And that's really important because engagement in group content has been linked with making connections with other people and reducing isolation that we see through COVID, but also as part of trauma. So it really can help reduce some of that isolation. And in terms of conflict, we really see it as a benefit. The lower the conflict indicates to us the better connections people are making within the group. And again, reducing that isolation that people might feel both through COVID and through trauma, a side effect of trauma. With conflict as well, one of the main responsibilities of group facilitators is to be able to manage any conflict that does come up and to treat it in a respectful and kind way that's beneficial for the entire group. And by seeing these low levels of conflict, we're really seeing that that's what's happening as part of our group. So that's fantastic. And this was really important for us to notice, especially given that these are online groups and there might be some challenges with technology. So overall, we're seeing a really positive group climate where participants are engaged and they're getting along and communicating effectively. The second thing that we're seeing over the course of our 8-week meditation group is that our participants are seeing significant reductions in their symptoms. Okay, and we can see that in these graphs over here. So if you look at this first graph, what we see here is we looked at change from pre-group, so before the group started, and post-group, so once the group was finished. And we used the same two measures. We used the PCL5, which is just a measure of how many symptoms somebody is reporting. Okay, so that's this graph over here. The PCL5 is a clinical tool, so it actually has a cutoff of 33. A score of 33 or higher indicates that the person filling out the score is more likely to meet criteria for a diagnosis of PTSD. If we look at our pre-group over here, we can see that our participants are actually above that cutoff. So before this meditation group starts, our participants are above that 33 cutoff. And what we see here is 8 weeks later, we're seeing that the average reported PCL5 score post-group after our 8 weeks is well below that threshold. And this number right here, the P, just indicates how significant it is. So in order for something to be significant, our P value has to be lower than 0.05. And we're seeing here that in this case, it's actually smaller than 0.01. So we are seeing significant changes that are really impacting our client symptomology. And if we look at the second graph here, we're looking at the reduction of distress caused by the symptoms that they've experienced or that they are experiencing. So again, when we look at pre-group, we're seeing that they're reporting pretty high distress from their symptoms, and post-group, we're seeing that that has significantly decreased. And again, we have that significant value. So we are seeing that these groups really, really help. I remember being shocked by these numbers when I initially ran them. So we're really excited to continue to offer these groups, and I hope we're able to do that in the future. And while I can sit here all day and talk to you about these groups and why they're great and all of the research results, I only have a few minutes. So I want to leave you with some of the quotes from our participants just to give them a voice so you can see what our participants are saying about the groups as well. I'm going to leave them up on the screen for you to read as well, but I will read them out loud in case anybody cannot see them. So the first one says, the group therapy went into greater depth on the topic of meditation, a great addition to individual therapy. I learned from responses and comments of other group members. I was able to more fully engage with this group and topic, both intellectually and practically, in a way I hadn't been able to before. Having had this experience of 2 previous meditation groups definitely helped. I really liked the flow of the sessions, including the follow-up email with session summary and suggested resources. There was encouragement, yet no pressure. The feedback from other group members for me is important to share and observe. The safety of the environment created by the facilitators is one of peace and security. The group is challenging for me, but it's a good challenge that I should try. It feels like collective efforts on improving ourselves. I feel accepted and non-judged in the group. I feel empowered and I have learned a lot, and I am grateful for being in this group. And then some other participants have said things like, I've been telling people about these groups, and I'm so grateful for these groups. And with that, I will leave you. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I hope some of this research really highlights how important and how effective these online meditation groups are. And I really hope you have a great night and you get to continue to learn more about our project. Thank you so much.